Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your holidays or whatever you celebrate. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. We're still on Kwanzaa, I think. So, yeah. Casey Campbell podcast right here and right now. I'm Casey Campbell. You know who that is. That's Nathan Solomon, otherwise known as a big Jets fan. So,
yeah. A winning Jets fan this week.
But yeah, they did. I did take the Jets, by the way. Thank you for that. Yeah. This is my best record in the NFL this week. So, yeah. Also, you notice something different. I'm Mike. Santa got it for me. So, thanks. Hope you enjoyed your holiday. Hope you enjoyed your holidays and hope you got a lot of big presents. And hopefully you enjoy your New Year's and hopefully the airports aren't causing you stress. But yeah. But obviously, with it being 2022 coming up this weekend, the NASCAR season's only, I don't know, 7, 8 weeks away. I mean, we're 6 if you count the LA Clash. But we still got like 3 next-gen tests and all that, bunch of content. I know you're working on a bunch of content here in the next few weeks. Before we get into the main topic we're talking about, couple of things were announced in the last few weeks. Actually, today, we finally heard from JD Motorsports. Bailey Curry is going to go to them full time. Of course, he was there for numerous races toward the end of the season, but he'll be running full time for that team. Not sure of the number yet. JD told me they're still working on trying to see how many cars they're going to run. They'll for sure at least run 2. They could run as many as 4, like they have done in the past. So we'll see. More announcements to come. But the biggest topic I want to talk about here is that obviously the next-gen tests are coming up, and the biggest topic of conversation, especially after the last one in Charlotte, was one of Tyler Reddick. Of course, Tyler Reddick, driver of the number 8 car for Richard Childress Racing, had got a lot of conversation. I felt like I wanted to make a video about this to talk about this. A lot of us were talking in the group text about Reddick and expectations for him. What's the big hype around that? Why does everyone think he's going to have a really big year?
I mean, he's shown a lot of potential here in his first 2 seasons in the Cup Series. I mean, I think he's one of the most skilled racers in the field. And, you know, I mean, not to discredit RCR's equipment. I mean, I think they have good equipment, but it's not to the level of Hendrick Motorsports, but I think he's kind of in a similar position, kind of what Kyle Larson was in his first couple of years at Ganassi, just that sort of kind of middle to top third, sort of like on that cut line of equipment. And he's super close. Like he's had a couple of really close opportunities to be able to win some races. He just hasn't been able to get it done, but he has a lot of talent. I mean, I think we saw that in the Xfinity Series with his 2 championships. Even now, when he kind of goes down to the Xfinity Series to run a couple of races every year with like our Motorsports, and he does a really good job in that equipment. So I think he's one of the most talented racers in the field. And with this new next gen car, I think that's going to help level out that playing field and give him a great opportunity to win some races.
When we talk about Tyler Reddick, we always talk about, with RCR and Austin Dillon and stuff like that. But really, I think that Reddick is impressed, especially the many times throughout the season. We actually had him on, I think, after it was actually the day of the next gen reveal is when I interviewed him. And it just seems like there was a definite change in the A team, like in the course of the season. Remember, they did make the playoffs. So can they carry momentum and stuff into that? But it seems like during the next gen test, he's been on it. He's been taking chances and a lot of people like that. And that's caused a lot of conversation and a lot of optimism. And that's what got all of us talking and stuff. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you. Yeah, go. I think I think last year Reddick kind of he got off to a tough start. I think he finished in the top 10 of the 500. But then he kind of had a stretch of 6 or 7 races where he was, I think, like 20th or worse or something. Like I know he was not strong in the West Coast swing and through Atlanta, and a handful of those races to start the year, he really struggled. And I think it was the Bristol dirt race where things really started to turn around for him. So he really overcame a lot to get into that position where I think if he was consistent all year long, he could have been in a position to transfer into the round of 12, but still missing that last or that last piece, which is a win in the Cup Series.
Sorry to interrupt the Reddick talk, but I just pulled up Parker Clearman. Just one of the fans asked him, "Will you have any silly season news this off season?" He goes, "Nothing new. Planning to do some normal 8 to 12 races with the Henderson team, who of course in the 75 truck." So good stuff there. I know there was some conversations, and there was actually chances where he could have gotten a couple rides, but we'll save that for later. But yeah, just good stuff there. But back to Tyler Reddick. I just saw that. I just wanted to mention it because that's what we do. I feel like that RCR as a whole has they're good one year and then they're not. And then one car is good, maybe the other isn't. And then there are some races where they were both good. Overall, I think we just have to look at the performance of what RCR is doing, though. Overall, what do you think about their performance, especially the last few years? Because there are races where they've been on it, and then there are some where they haven't been. But that's
I think what I want to say was the Texas fall race of 2020, or maybe it was one of the Texas races. Maybe it was a summer race in 2020 where they were running 1-2 there for a good part of the race, and
Austin Dillon ended up
Austin Dillon, he won that race. I think Reddick finished second.
Yep.
And to your point, then there's other races where it seems like they're way off. Overall in 2021, even though they didn't win a race, I feel like that they were probably the best that they've been in a while. Austin Dillon, he was one of the more consistent cars all season. He probably would have made the playoffs if he didn't get wrecked at Michigan by Brad Keselowski there at the end of that stage. So they could have pretty.
Dillon, by the way.
Well, yes, that was Austin Dillon. If I didn't make that clear, sorry.
I was there. I saw it. I saw it live. So
that was a vicious wreck. But I mean, if that wreck didn't happen, I mean, there's a chance both of them could have made the playoffs. I'm not sure, if any of them would have made it beyond the round of 16. But that goes kind of back to my point. If Reddick wasn't really struggling those first 6-8 races of the season, he could have been in a position where he got a few more playoff points, and that could have been enough for him to transfer over to the round of 12. So I think that they can kind of, even though it's a different car or a new car this year, I think that they can kind of start to build off of what they found last year. Because I think Reddick's one of the more talented race car drivers they've had over the last few years. And Austin Dillon, he's one of the more just consistent guys. I don't think, he's not a guy that's going to go out and win 4 or 5 races every year. I think Reddick can be that guy. But Dillon's that type of guy who can probably run top 15 every week and maybe win a race every year. But I think they're in a pretty good position with what they have and running 2 cars. And I also think it kind of goes back to their to the Xfinity Series stuff a little bit, because they have 2 cars in the Xfinity Series now. So if they can rack up some wins and some good results there, they can even build off of that in the Cup Series as well.
Yeah, we'll get to Xfinity and truck talk. Obviously, each series will get its own preview show. Of course, ARCA will as well, and also the Cup Series. But out of all the drivers, this is just a general base question. Who do you think's, out of the tests that you've seen, who do you think's been the best in these next gen cars? Do you think?
Just from a RCR standpoint, or like anybody?
Just really anybody, and maybe from an RCR standpoint as well, because everyone that's how the Reddick conversation kind of got started.
Yeah, I guess you can probably just say Reddick. I mean, people aren't talking about, Kyle Larson or William Byron or, Kyle Busch in these next gen tests. Because, I mean, they're not doing anything, I guess, out of the ordinary. I mean, Tyler Reddick, he's out there, he's pushing the car to the limits. I mean, he's seeing what the car is going to do. He's working it hard and he's going to learn a lot from it. That way when he goes out onto the track, to start the season, he knows what that car is going to do, how it's going to act, and it'll allow him to learn a lot of stuff where he can help let it play to his advantage, and hopefully it'll lead to some stronger results for him.
Yeah, the biggest thing with me is I think Reddick's just got to be consistent, and there are races where he that A team has always been on it, no matter where they're at. And when they really picked it up really toward the end of the seasons, when they really kind of started to get going. I think that they can win races, and he can go a long way in the playoffs with this car. But what I don't like doing is, like, you know how everyone's got set their expectations and preview, but that's what makes this business fun, is to predict the future of what's going to happen. And obviously, we don't know about what this next gen car is going to do. And we don't know. Who knows? RCR could have a great year, and or they could have an absolute terrible year. But I really think that this is going to be a big year for him. And I think I think he has proven himself that he could win. I mean, he won an Xfinity championship, and he's won truck races, and obviously back-to-back Xfinity champion, and he's good. But I think this is a big statement year, and I think he's going to capitalize on it. So what is your expectations for him this year?
I think expectations just a start. I mean, he's got to win a race, right? And I think he has to advance to the at least the round of 12. But here's the thing that interests me, though, is I think that the playoff schedule in 2022 it's very favorable to him, because he a lot of times he thrives on the tracks that are very difficult to drive. I mean, to start off the playoffs, Southern 500 at Darlington, maybe probably the toughest racetrack on the schedule. He's pretty good there. Bristol is not bad there. That ends the round of 16, and then to start off the round of 12, Texas. Texas moved up a little bit this year. That's a place where he's always been pretty good at. Also, you got Talladega, and the Roval in there. He's one of the more underrated road course racers in NASCAR. He always seems to be running top 10 there. But what I'm really looking at is the round of 8 right there. I mean, seeing Homestead Miami Speedway there is the middle race in the round of 8. I mean, that might be his best track. I mean, I think he was 4th place in his rookie season, 2nd place last year to William Byron, I believe. So, and I mean, he won Homestead twice to win his Xfinity Series championships. I mean, that's a place where, if he finds a way to sneak into the round of 8, I mean, then honestly, he has a good chance to make it to the championship. I'm not saying he's going to make it to the championship or not, but if he can find a way to get into the round of 8, that's a pretty favorable schedule mix for him. Then you also got Vegas and Martinsville on either end of those 2 races, where he maybe needs some strong runs there. But yeah, I think Reddick can surprise some people this year, and if he just kind of runs his own race and finds a way to just kind of slither into the round of 8, then he could surprise some people and pull off a win at Homestead.
Yeah. So what is your, at the end of the year, and obviously we'll do this more, I don't want you to make a prediction. Well, yes, I actually go ahead, make a prediction. What do you think he does? We'll obviously dive more into this once we do the bold prediction show. That will be later.
I think Reddick wins. I think Reddick wins a race.
Okay.
And just misses out on going to the round of 8, so he probably falls just short at the Roval.
Okay. Ooh, that's an interest. That's interesting. I'm not gonna make any predictions with that and all that stuff. I'll save that for the bold prediction. I'll save that for the prediction show, which will be not now. Still, a lot of things have to be confirmed first before I can make a lot of those. So yeah, that'll be fun there. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. But what do you want to see out of him at these next few next gen tests?
I mean, he's got to continue to push the car to the limits. I mean, I think Atlanta is another really good opportunity for him to do that. That's just next week. New surface, new banking. He's going to go out there and want to know the quickest way around there, because we don't know which line at Atlanta is going to be the quickest yet. Is it going to be the bottom? Is he going to be able to kind of run the top like he likes to at some of these other tracks? I think he's going to go out there and be super aggressive on finding the right lines. And that's a big test too. There's a lot of things that NASCAR is going to need to be able to learn from that test, see how much grip there is, see which lines are the quickest, see how, for Goodyear, to see what tire they're going to build for that race in March. See if they're gonna need to put any PJ1 or resin down on the surface come race, which I don't think they will, but that's all gonna be dependent on how much grip is there on that new surface. So I think that's a really good opportunity for them to test the limits. When you get to the super speedway test, there's only so much you could do there, because if you test your limits too much, all of a sudden you got 25 torn up race cars. And I expect that super speedway test at Daytona is when there will be the most cars testing, and you're going to see, packs of 20 to 25 cars. And I think, and we saw this in 2013 when they were testing the Gen 6 car for the first time. Somebody made the wrong move, and all of a sudden there's 25 wrecked race cars in between turns 3 and 4 in the middle of January. So that test is, I mean, that'll be a big test to see how this car race on super speedways, but not trying to get too off topic here. But I think there's always been this discussion of, if NASCAR is going to have enough next-gen cars and teams are going to have enough next-gen cars for when the season starts, and teams think they will, barely. But if a bunch of cars get torn up at this Daytona test, and that could kind of put them in a little bit of a hole here with a trip to the West Coast, 2 trips to the West Coast, end of January, early February for the Phoenix test, and then the Busch Clash, and then coming back east for a few weeks before 3 straight really 4 to 5 races out west, if you're going to include the 3 traditional West Coast races and then COTA. So a lot of traveling coming up for NASCAR, and if they tear up a bunch of cars at Daytona, then that could put teams in a little bit of a hole with a lot of miles on the road ahead.
I remember Texas being on the West Coast.
It's not, but it's a long drive.
Yeah,
it's not a short trip from Charlotte.
No. Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely going to be interesting for sure. But yeah, we'll maybe do more of these once we get along here. If it's not Nathan, it'll be somebody else. But yeah, there'll be a lot of them. We got a couple of good ideas. Lots of stuff. Tune in today. You'll hear from Bailey Curry about joining JD Motorsports. That'll be coming up later today. We could do some more. We might do some more stuff. Obviously, I don't expect there to be many announcements this week, since we're just coming off. We're coming off the Christmas holiday and all that, and then obviously you'll start to see more once the new year rolls in. So yeah, but we'll be seeing more of these maybe if I think of more ideas. But yeah. But anyway, Nathan, thanks for coming on, and
always,
we'll see you next time. By the way, if you like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell your friends.